Good afternoon, first grade. Sorry for the late post today. A couple things came up this morning and I wasn't able to read, but here we are now. And I'm going to read to you chapters 5 and 6 of Amelia Bedelia Means Business. Now, Amelia Bedelia, where we left off last, was she had just gotten a job at the diner and the customer was always right. And Amelia Bedelia said, what could possibly go wrong? And I got a couple responses on that. Some of my friends thought maybe she wouldn't get paid correctly. Her payment would be wrong. Maybe she would not do so great at first, but then she would get better at this job at the diner. So we're going to read and we're going to find out what could go wrong, because this chapter is called When Right Was Wrong. Chapter 5. Amelia Bedelia went right to work. She did all the little things that Doris usually did, but didn't have time to do on such a busy day. Amelia Bedelia refilled ketchup bottles, poured more salt and pepper into the shakers, folded napkins, and got more sugar and sweetener packets. Most of all, she had fun. Then the unthinkable happened. Suzanne and 3 girls from Amelia Bedelia's class walked through the door. Amelia Bedelia sank down behind the counter like the Titanic. What should she do? She was excited to tell them about her job, but she also felt super embarrassed in her waitress uniform. Amelia Bedelia inched up to take a peek. The girls had chosen the booth where they couldn't see her. Whew. Now, if she just stayed out of sight and stayed quiet. Amelia Bedelia? Ah! Amelia Bedelia nearly jumped out of her skin. Luckily, it was only Doris. Calm down, honey, said Doris. Your mom was right. You are a good worker. Here's a treat. You deserve it. She handed Amelia Bedelia a strawberry milkshake in a tall, frosty glass. Thanks, Doris, said Amelia Bedelia. As she took her first sip, a big man walked in and sat down at the counter. He was wearing a bright orange baseball cap and a patch on his shirt that said, Mike. Amelia Bedelia offered him the menu. No thanks, he said. I know what I want. Good, said Doris. That's as easy as pie. And I'm in a big hurry, he added. My truck's still running. No problem, said Doris. At Pete's Diner, fast service is a piece of cake. I'm sure glad to hear that, he said. Please bring me a piece of cherry pie. Doris turned to Amelia Bedelia and said, This is a simple one. You can fill his order while I go talk to the cook. I'll be back in a few. Amelia Bedelia smiled and nodded to the man. Then she went to the dessert case. Uh-oh, my friends, what is Amelia Bedelia thinking about? Pie and cake, because Doris said it's easy as pie, and then she said it's a piece of cake. I think Amelia Bedelia might be feeling a little confused. As she stood there gazing at all of the yummy treats, she realized she had completely forgotten what the man had ordered. She turned her brain inside out. Was it easy as pie, or was it piece of cake? Was it easier to bake pie than cake? Well, you don't have to frost a pie, so that's easier, but you don't have to roll out dough for cake. But then again, hello there, Mike called. Did you forget me? I'm in a real hurry. Fast, said Amelia Bedelia to herself. That's a piece of cake. That's it. She brought him a piece of cake. Cake? He said. I ordered pie. Sorry, said Amelia Bedelia. I'm just learning. I can tell, said Mike. And I'm late. Just bring me a piece of cherry pie and step on it. Amelia Bedelia dashed off to get his pie, but now she was more confused than ever. Why did he want her to step on it? My friends, I wonder if you can answer that question. Why did the man say step on it? What did he mean by that? Let's see what Amelia Bedelia thinks he means by that. She remembered Pete's rule. The customer is always right. She dashed back to Mike and put his pie on the counter. At last, he said, sighing happily. As he lifted his fork to take his first bite, Amelia Bedelia climbed up onto the counter. What are you doing? Asked Mike. Hey, get off the counter. Just then, Pete came out of the kitchen. What's all the commotion? He asked. Amelia Bedelia, what are you? Amelia Bedelia raised her foot and stepped on that tasty slice of pie with all her might. Gooey cherry pie filling spurted all over the counter, all over Mike, and all over Pete. Mike leapt to his feet. That does it, he yelled. I'm out of here. Wait, called Pete. He got an entire cherry pie from the dessert case and raced out to the parking lot after him. By the time Pete came back in, Doris had returned and she and Amelia Bedelia had wiped off the counter. Amelia Bedelia felt awful. It didn't help that she could hear giggles from a certain booth. She'd recognize Suzanne's laugh anywhere. I'm sorry about the mess on your apron, Amelia Bedelia said to Pete. Pete looked at his apron. Then he said, At least it matches the ketchup stain. Doris laughed. Amelia Bedelia smiled. Pete sighed and shook his head. I don't know what to say, Amelia Bedelia, except that I have to let you go. Go where? Asked Amelia Bedelia. Go home, said Pete. I'm sorry. I am sorry too, said Amelia Bedelia. I wanted to see those ropes and cut some mustard, and I really wanted a big tip. I've got a tip for you, said Pete. You should get an office job. I don't think the world is ready for you to be a waitress. Doris helped Amelia Bedelia out of her uniform, and then she slipped $5 in her pocket. Here, honey, she said. You were the best waitress in training I ever had. Then Amelia Bedelia left and began the long walk home. Chapter 6 is called You're Fired. Amelia Bedelia was glad she had to walk through the park to get home because walking by trees and flowers helped her think. What was she going to tell her mom and dad? Her very first job had lasted less than an hour. They might not feel so proud of her now. Amelia Bedelia spied a big bed of flowers. I know, she said to herself. I'll bring Mom some flowers. Then she won't be mad at me. Amelia Bedelia had seen that work for her father when her mother was upset with him. It was worth a try now. She picked up a bunch of flowers in different colors and surrounded them with a circle of daisies. Daisies were her mom's favorite. Hers too. She had just finished making the bouquet when a policeman walked up. Little girl, he said, where did you get all those flowers? Right there, said Amelia Bedelia. I didn't leave many, but there are still enough for you. The policeman looked where she pointed. You've cleaned out that entire flower bed, he said. No, I didn't, said Amelia Bedelia. It's still very dirty. The policeman shook his head. You can't pick flowers in the park. They're for everyone who lives here to enjoy. Well, I live here, said Amelia Bedelia, and so does my mom. I picked these for her. You can't do that, the policeman said. In fact, you shouldn't even be standing here. Can't you read that? He pointed at a sign stuck in the lawn. It said, keep off the grass, says Amelia Bedelia. That means you, the policeman said. Amelia Bedelia looked at her feet, and then she looked at the policeman's feet. Well, what about you? She asked. You're standing on the grass too. The policeman looked annoyed. Are you talking back to me? He asked sternly. Amelia Bedelia wasn't sure what to do. She wanted to answer him, but she'd have to talk back to do it. Finally, she said, yes, but you started talking to me first, so I talked back to you, and then you talked back to me, and I talked back to you, so you... The policeman blew his whistle. Enough, he said. I'll let you off with a warning this time. Now take those flowers home to your mother. I promise I will, said Amelia Bedelia as she waved goodbye. Thanks. Amelia Bedelia walked slowly down the path. As soon as the policeman was out of sight, she sat down on a park bench to rest for a minute. A woman was sitting at the other end of the bench with her dog. She didn't look very happy. In fact, she looked very sad. What lovely flowers, she said to Amelia Bedelia. I'd like to give them to you, said Amelia Bedelia, to cheer you up, but I just promised to take them to my mom. How sweet of you, said the woman. Then she blew her nose. Sorry if I look upset. My boss just gave me a pink slip. Sounds pretty, said Amelia Bedelia. Pretty, she said. It wasn't pretty at all. That's too bad, said Amelia Bedelia. Maybe pink isn't your color? My mom likes white slips with lacy stuff on the top. A curious look came over the woman's face, and then she burst out laughing and kept on laughing until tears streamed down her cheeks. Thank you, she said. I needed a good laugh today. My name is Diana. What's yours? I'm Amelia Bedelia. Meet Buster, said Diana. Her dog held up its paw for Amelia Bedelia to shake. Wow, Amelia Bedelia said. Buster has a firm paw shake. Buster is the best, said Diana. He doesn't care that I just got let go from my job. Me too, said Amelia Bedelia. Then she told Diana what happened at Pete's diner. Diana laughed even harder when she heard about stepping on the pie. We've got a lot in common, said Diana. We've both been fired. Amelia Bedelia was amazed to learn that being let go was the same as being fired. It reminded her that she still had to go home and tell her parents what happened at Pete's. She got up to leave. Hey, Diana, maybe you should start your own business, she said. Diana nodded. I think you're right, she said. I'd never fire myself. I would be fireproof. If you were fireproof, said Amelia Bedelia, you'd never get burned. Right you are, said Diana. Amelia Bedelia scratched Buster behind his ears and said goodbye to Diana, but she didn't get very far. Excuse me, miss. Excuse me. A man was waving at her. Miss, he said, I'm meeting someone here for the first time. Well, it's a date. And I told her I'd be carrying a bouquet of flowers. Would you please sell me yours? It's for my mom, said Amelia Bedelia. I'll pay you $10, he said. Amelia Bedelia shook her head. No, I promised. How about $20, he asked. $20? Here you go, she said, handing him the bouquet of flowers. Thanks, he said, handing her a crisp $20 bill. $20. Amelia Bedelia waved to Diana and was on her way once again. But then she heard a familiar voice. She peeked over her shoulder. The policeman had stopped the man walking with the bouquet. Amelia Bedelia began to walk faster. Excuse me, sir, said the policeman. Those flowers look suspiciously like the ones we grow in the park. Where did you get them? I just bought them, she heard the man answer. From a sweet little girl. Amelia Bedelia began to trot. What little girl? Asked the policeman. Amelia Bedelia began to run. She darted through the park gates, running as fast as she could. She flew by a sign that said, Slow, children. I'm not having much luck with signs today, she thought, as she raced home. By the time she got to her house, Amelia Bedelia was out of breath. Her parents did not seem surprised to see her. We got a call from Pete, said Amelia Bedelia's father. Next time call us and we'll come get you. There won't be a next time, said Amelia Bedelia. Oh, sweetie, said her mom. It was a good try. What did you learn from your first job? Asked her father. I learned that the customer is always right, said Amelia Bedelia. That's what they say, said her father. Did you learn anything else? Asked her mother. Yes, said Amelia Bedelia. I learned that sometimes the customer is crazy. Amelia Bedelia's parents smiled. They stopped when they saw Amelia Bedelia's lower lip begin to tremble. It's no fun to get fired, sobbed Amelia Bedelia, and now I'll never get that bike. Her parents hugged her and hoisted her up into their arms. Don't worry, they said. We have an idea. All right, my friends, I'm going to have you make another prediction. Please predict what you think her parents' idea is going to be. Also, tell me how you think Amelia Bedelia is feeling right now. See if you can think of a good vocab word to tell me how she might be feeling. Alrighty, I'm going to post another one of these on Monday, so I hope you have a good weekend. See you later.